Imagine, like, you've spent the last 10 years building the perfect life, right? You have the degrees, the growing savings account, the optimized morning routine.
Yeah, the carefully mapped out 5-year plan.
Exactly. Now imagine someone hands you a blueprint that says the only way to true happiness is to just walk away from the construction site and, well, burn all of it to the ground.
Wow.
Today, we are exploring a philosophy that asks you to drop every single brick you've ever used to build your identity.
It is the absolute definition of a paradigm shift. I
Yep.
mean, we live in this additive culture, right?
Yeah.
We fundamentally believe that more is better.
Oh, absolutely.
More knowledge, more habits, more productivity hacks. But this text forces you to question the very foundation of what you consider to be growth.
And that is exactly what we are getting into today, because I know you, the listener, you are what I'd call the learner.
Hmm.
You're the kind of person who loves soaking up information, diving into deep topics, reading books, mastering new skills. You probably have like a stack of articles you're meaning to get to right now.
Or a deep dive queue that is just miles long.
Right. So there is a massive playful irony to today's deep dive because the source material we're looking at explicitly tells you not to seek knowledge. It tells you to put the books down entirely.
Which is, it's a fascinating challenge to the modern hyper-productive mindset.
It really is. So today we are grounding our discussion in a 2012 essay by an author named Su Feng. The essay is titled Be Simpler, Much Simpler.
Such a great title.
Yeah, it sets the tone perfectly. Now, our mission in this deep dive isn't to convert anyone to this way of life. We are here to impartially explore a radically alternative blueprint for living.
Right, we're just observers here.
Exactly. We want to unpack how this text challenges our accumulation-focused modern world by advocating for a life stripped down to its absolute barest essentials.
And this text does contain some very specific spiritual and philosophical viewpoints, particularly relating to a community known as Life Genuine.
Right.
But our job today is simply to map out this author's highly unique landscape. It's a study in extreme philosophical detachment.
Yeah, and whether you agree with it or not, examining such a countercultural worldview is just an incredible exercise in critical thinking. I mean, it holds up a mirror to the things we just automatically accept as normal.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can understand how to actually live this simply, we have to look at what the author believes is currently weighing us down.
Right, starting from the inside out.
Yeah, the essay frames life as just a temporary journey of the soul through the human world. And eventually, we all have to disembark.
So the core argument is that we should travel light. We shouldn't linger on past landscapes.
Exactly. The central thesis here is that a complex mind inevitably leads to a complex life.
Makes sense.
If you have excessive pursuits, if you have grand ambitions, if you have this deep desire for possession, the text argues that this directly results in dissatisfaction and a rocky destiny.
You're essentially creating your own turbulence.
You really are.
It's like packing for a vacation. You know how we always overpack our suitcases?
Always.
You throw in like 3 extra pairs of shoes you won't wear, a heavy jacket for a beach trip, just in case the weather turns.
4 books you definitely won't have time to read.
Exactly. And you end up dragging this massive, heavy suitcase through the airport, completely exhausted before the trip even begins. The author is arguing we do the exact same thing with our minds.
That's a great way to visualize it. We pack them with aspirations, the desire for lasting fame, the need to be admired.
And the text says you have to discard the very idea of having a name or wanting others to look up to you. You should seek only inner peace and a clear conscience.
You're emptying that mental suitcase entirely. You aren't just taking out the heavy jacket, you're throwing away the suitcase.
But here is the part that is going to make our listeners squirm a little. The author explicitly states, do not crave knowledge and learning.
Yeah, that's the big one.
He points out that earthworms and little birds live perfectly content lives without knowledge. In fact, he goes so far as to say that people who claim to be experts in Eastern and Western knowledge are actually, well, fools who do not comprehend the true meaning of life.
It's a strong statement.
Very strong. And I have to push back hard here. As someone who genuinely loves learning, and our listener does too, calling someone a fool for reading a book feels incredibly dismissive.
Okay.
I mean, how are we supposed to view the idea that seeking knowledge makes you a fool?
What's fascinating here is the underlying definition of knowledge in this context. The author isn't just being anti-intellectual for the sake of it.
Okay, so what's the angle?
He views the constant accumulation of knowledge as just another form of greed. It is mental hoarding.
Mental hoarding. Okay, wow, that strikes a nerve.
Right. Let's be honest about why you, the listener, have a stack of unread books on your nightstand or a browser full of bookmarked articles. It isn't always just pure joyful curiosity.
Yeah, it's really not.
Often, it's driven by a subtle anxiety. It's a fear of being unprepared. We hoard knowledge because we are terrified of encountering a problem in the future that we don't have the mental framework to solve.
We think, if I just read one more book, I'll finally be secure.
Precisely.
So the armor of knowledge is actually what is making us exhausted. We're carrying around a library of solutions for problems that haven't even happened yet.
That's exactly it. When you are frantically trying to learn everything, to become an expert, you are rarely in the present moment. You're acquiring data for future use.
You're living in a hypothetical tomorrow.
Yeah. The author's argument is that earthworms and birds aren't distracted by the future or the past. They are entirely present.
The text states, we aim for joy and happiness at every moment and in every situation.
And the so-called expert is so busy analyzing the mechanics of the universe that they forget to actually experience the joy of living in it.
It's like the difference between cataloging a butterfly and just watching it fly. If your mind is constantly categorizing and analyzing, you aren't letting things be.
You're missing the immediate joy because you're too busy taking notes on it.
Exactly. And this internal shedding of ambition and intellect, well, it sets the stage for the next phase.
Right, because if you truly empty your mind of the need for status and stirred information, the natural next step is emptying your external life of physical and social clutter.
The external baggage. And the text does not mince words here. It is highly specific.
Very specific.
It says, do not buy houses, do not buy cars, do not stash money in banks. You should have only what you need, or even better, have absolutely nothing at all. The author points to the residents of Life Genuine's second home as the ideal.
And to give some context there, Life Genuine's second home refers to an actual real-world communal living experiment associated with this philosophy.
Right.
It was designed as a space where resources are entirely shared, dissolving the traditional family structure and the individual burden of property ownership.
Oh, nobody owns anything.
In this community, yeah, the idea is that you possess nothing personally, but because the community provides, you lack for nothing. We are looking at this primarily as a philosophical ideal today. But it's important to know the author was mapping this onto a literal physical way of living.
It is a total rejection of the accumulation economy,
Yeah.
and it extends to social currency as well. The text warns against cultivating relationships purely for personal gain.
Oh yeah, no networking.
Right. You shouldn't flatter people with power, and you shouldn't envy the rich and famous. You aren't supposed to chase after celebrities or imitate them. You just walk your own path.
It strips away all the networking, the ladder climbing, the strategic socializing that consumes so much of our daily energy.
Which sounds incredibly liberating. But I have to bring us back to reality for a second and push back on the practicality of this.
Sure.
It sounds beautiful in theory to have no bank account and no property. But if I sit in my apartment reading the wind and shedding my earthly attachments, my landlord is still going to evict me. I still have groceries to buy.
That's the real world dilemma, yeah.
So does the author literally mean the universe will drop a check in my mailbox? Or is there a psychological shift here? Like, how does this text justify this total surrender of practical financial planning?
That is the crucial friction point when modern readers encounter this text. To understand how the author justifies this, you have to look at the spiritual mechanics he operates from.
Okay.
This isn't just about minimalist budgeting. It relies on a worldview of absolute divine providence. The text explicitly says to entrust your life to the greatest creator and let the Tao, the natural order of the universe, manage your life.
But what does letting the Tao manage your life actually look like?
Think of the Tao like a massive, powerful river current. Most of us spend our lives swimming upstream.
Right.
We are fighting the current to build our bank accounts, to buy a house, to secure our futures. It takes immense, exhausting effort.
It's so exhausting.
The mechanism of the Tao, specifically the concept of wu wei or non-action, isn't about doing literally nothing. It's about acting with zero friction.
Okay, I see.
It's about turning around, floating on your back, and letting the current naturally carry you to where the water gathers. The logic within this framework is that if you perfectly align yourself with the natural order, the universe itself handles the provision.
So it's not that a magical check appears in the mail, it's that by removing your resistance, you naturally gravitate toward what sustains you.
Yes, and importantly, your definition of what sustains you radically changes. You lack for nothing, because you only require what the natural flow of life provides.
That shifts the whole perspective.
Now, as observers exploring this philosophical construct, we don't have to adopt this literal belief, but we have to understand that this absolute trust is the load-bearing pillar of the author's worldview.
Right. Without it, giving up your bank account is just reckless. With it, it's the ultimate expression of faith and freedom. Okay, that makes more sense. It's redefining the need itself. And it makes sense that a philosophy of extreme simplicity would reject money, property, and social climbing. But here's where it gets really interesting. It also rejects the very act of trying to be spiritual.
This is perhaps the most counterintuitive part of the entire essay.
Right. The text explicitly warns against expecting to become a celestial, or a Buddha, or reaching heaven. It states that true cultivation requires no cultivation at all. The highest realm of Buddhism is non-practice. The highest form of martial arts is non-technique. The best management is non-management.
It said you shouldn't travel far and wide seeking high-level masters.
And you definitely shouldn't harbor delusions of getting supernatural powers.
Which raises a brilliant paradox.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be perfectly simple, isn't the intense effort to become simple just another complication?
Exactly. It makes me think of what I call the paradox of trying. It is exactly like trying to fall asleep.
Oh, I love this analogy.
Yep. Right. If you lie in bed staring at the ceiling and say to yourself, I need to sleep, I'm going to force myself to sleep right now, what happens? Your heart rate goes up, you become hyper aware of every sound in the room, and you are wide awake.
You're more awake than when you got into bed.
The harder you actively try to force the state of sleep, the further away it gets. You can only fall asleep by giving up the effort to do so.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And if we apply that to the modern world, think about the self-help industry.
Oh, yeah.
It is essentially an industry built on selling people trying to sleep techniques. We buy a thick, complicated book on how to simplify our lives.
We download an app with tracking metrics to make sure we are meditating perfectly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're just adding new bricks to the house, but we're calling them spiritual bricks.
Oh, that's incredibly true. The meditation streak on the app becomes just another high score to beat.
The author sees spiritual cultivation, the desperate striving to reach a higher plane of enlightenment, as just another exhausting form of ambition.
Right.
It's the same as trying to get a promotion at work, just dressed up in spiritual clothing. It is still an attachment. And the text says, attachment is a hindrance.
But there is a danger here, because once you start stripping away your own ambition, your own ego, your own spiritual striving, well, the natural human trap is to look around at everyone else who is still striving and judge them.
For sure.
You look at the person working 80 hours a week for a new car and think, look at that greedy person. I'm so much more enlightened than them.
Exactly. The ego just finds a new back door.
But the author cuts that off immediately. And he does it with one of the most vivid and frankly shocking metaphors in the text. He says you must not pass judgment on others, even if they are demons.
And to illustrate why, he uses a biological analogy.
Yeah, he says the mouth should not despise the anus for being dirty.
That's very blunt.
And the anus should not envy the mouth for its nobility, because everything in the world has a proper arrangement.
It is a highly visceral image, but it effectively shatters human hierarchies.
It really does. When you first read it, you kind of take a step back, but the logic is airtight within this framework. Every part of a system has a vital function. The mouth can't do the job of the anus, and vice versa.
And it explains how radical acceptance creates internal peace. If you deeply believe that everything in the universe has a proper arrangement, you remove the heavy daily burden of judgment.
Because judgment is exhausting.
Exactly. The text notes that speaking ill of others just reveals your own inner ugliness. Everyone has a unique character and strength.
Right.
Judging someone else requires complex mental gymnastics. You have to compare, contrast, assign value, and establish your own moral superiority. The author is saying, drop the gymnastics. It's too tiring. Just accept what is.
So we've stripped away the books, the ambition, the money, the social climbing, the spiritual striving, and even the right to judge other people, which begs the practical question.
Yeah.
So what does this all mean for a Tuesday afternoon? What actually fills the hours of the day when you've emptied your life this completely?
Well, the author gives us a very clear, grounded aesthetic for daily life. He claims that in heaven, there are no books. Everything in existence is the revelation.
Right. He says instead of reading complex texts that encourage success and wealth, when you are idle and bored, you should read the little birds.
Read the flowers.
Read the wind, the clouds, the rain, the snow. Read the bees, the ants, the bamboo, and the small streams. I want you, the listener, to really visualize this sensory shift.
It's powerful.
Instead of staring at a screen reading a dense PDF about market trends, your primary task for the afternoon is literally watching an ant carry a crumb across a leaf.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the author is providing a direct antidote to modern burnout.
How so? Because honestly, watching an ant sounds a bit boring to a mind that is used to constant stimulation.
It replaces artificial complexity with hyper-present mindfulness. Think about the mechanics of human burnout. Burnout rarely comes from the physical actions we perform in a day. It comes from the abstract anxieties we carry while we perform them.
Ah, that makes sense.
We burn out worrying about our 401k or our social media metrics or our 5-year career plan. These are all abstract constructs. The human brain did not evolve to constantly process hypothetical futures.
It evolved to process what is right in front of us.
Exactly. An ant is not abstract. The taste of a turnip is not abstract. The author isn't saying you should sit in a dark room with nothing to do. He is advocating for shifting your entire attention away from abstract, future-oriented anxieties and locking it firmly onto concrete, immediate reality.
It is a radical downshifting of the nervous system. The text advocates avoiding all extravagance. It says salted turnips and steamed cornbread are good food.
Simple, basic sustenance.
A simple thatched cottage with a bamboo fence where roosters crow, dogs bark, and children play is painted as far more beautiful than grand Taoist temples or monasteries.
You are trading the massive, crushing weight of the world for the weight of a turnip.
I love that. And you don't even need to be a polymath to survive this way. The text says having just one skill is sufficient. And if you don't have any tangible skills, possessing just a single virtue like honesty, diligence, simplicity, or kindness is enough for an easy life.
Life is brief, so why make yourself busy and tired?
And that profound lightness brings us to the ultimate payoff. We've explored the anti-rules of this radical simplicity, but what is the promise? What happens to the person who actually manages to live this way?
The text makes a very grand promise for those who can achieve this state. It says that genuine celestials, those who embody this simplicity, bask in the radiance of the greatest creator.
They are accompanied by a pantheon of historical sages, like Jesus Christ, Buddha, Shakyamuni, and Laozi.
It is a convergence of ultimate spiritual heavyweights.
But the real promise is the state of existence right here on Earth. The text guarantees that your sustenance, clothing, housing, and every aspect of your life falls under divine protection.
Which means there is absolutely zero need to worry, zero need to be afraid, zero need to be anxious, and zero need to prepare for the future.
Zero preparation. Think about how alien that concept is to the modern ear. We spend our entire lives preparing.
Always planning for the next thing.
And the author concludes with this incredibly powerful metaphor. He says you must understand that clear water is more important than strong coffee or other beverages.
I love this metaphor.
As long as you keep the water, everything else will come, your wishes will be fulfilled, and your ideals will be realized.
A profound psychological shift.
And I really want to latch on to that strong coffee versus clear water metaphor, because I think you, the listener, and society at large, we are deeply, chronically addicted to the strong coffee of life.
Well, without a doubt.
We crave constant stimulation. We want the caffeine hit of a new promotion, the drama of a complex relationship, the rush of achieving a massive goal. We think the strong coffee is what keeps us alive.
But strong coffee dehydrates you eventually. It creates massive spikes in energy, followed by exhausting crashes.
Yeah.
The clear water represents the baseline of existence. Pure, unflavored, unstimulating, but absolutely essential for survival and true health.
The promise the author is making isn't just basic, boring survival. It's a state of fearless, joyful existence.
Your wishes are fulfilled not because you chased them down, wrestled them to the ground, and captured them, but precisely because you stopped desperately chasing them.
You aligned with the water, and the flow naturally brought you what you needed.
So let's take a step back and look at the incredible journey this text has taken us on today.
Yeah, let's recap.
We started by shedding our internal ambitions, dropping our desperate, anxious need to accumulate knowledge and be recognized as experts. We emptied the mental suitcase.
Then we moved to dropping our external material possessions, letting go of the houses, the cars, the bank accounts, and the strategic social networking.
And from there, we abandoned even our spiritual striving, realizing that trying to force enlightenment or judge the progress of others only creates more exhausting complexity.
All of this to arrive at a state of pure, clear water simplicity, where you are just reading the wind, eating cornbread, and trusting the current of the universe to carry you.
It's a lot to process.
Now, I want to reassure you, the listener, you do not have to immediately throw away all your books, sell your car, empty your bank account, and move into a thatched cottage with a bamboo fence to find profound value in this deep dive.
No, definitely not.
You don't have to adopt the absolute divine providence worldview, but you can borrow this author's lens. The next time you feel completely overwhelmed by the complexities of modern life, the next time your mental suitcase is just too heavy to carry through the airport, you can ask yourself, am I drinking too much strong coffee right now? Can I just focus on the clear water?
It is an incredible diagnostic tool for your own life.
Mhm.
It helps you identify where you are adding unnecessary complexity and creating your own suffering through attachment to the future.
Exactly. But we want to leave you with a final provocative thought to ponder on your own as you go about your day.
A little something to chew on.
The text argues for stripping away absolutely everything. All ambition, all desire, all judgment, and all acquired knowledge. You drop every single brick you've ever used to build your identity.
Right.
But if you successfully eliminate every single one of those things, what is the self that is actually left behind to experience the joy? If you are no longer the builder, no longer the expert, no longer the striver who is the person standing in that empty space.
Mm.
Something to think about the next time you find yourself trying to build that house of knowledge.